So what I want to show you is the impossibility of the Earth actually having 12 of its parts, of its 24 parts, in sunlight evenly at the exact same time, anytime. Yeah, there's no time. And the reason is this. We know that the sun and the moon are exactly in proportion. How do we know that? Well, photos like this help, certainly. Notice that we can see the craters on the very tip of the bottom and the very tip of the top. So we are able to see exactly half the sphere. And because of that, and because of eclipses, proportionally, regardless of whatever size they actually are, proportionally, the sun is the same size as the moon from this vantage point. Now, because of that, it's a well-conceded point that the moon is only 1/4 the diameter of the Earth. What I want to show you right now is the scale that we know exists because we are able to see the moon. Images like this prove that only half of the moon is lit up at a time. Now, if I show you this image here, that sun is gigantic and it's right next to it. And because of that, if this were Earth, this would be like a 16-hour day. So just notice we got a terminator line that goes straight down right here. So that's not what we see in real life. We see at the very top, notice the craters. See these craters descending away from us? And then on the bottom as well. And there's so much light here that you don't even notice the craters. So why is that? Obviously that sun is either too close or it's too big. So if we reduce this, try and adjust it to get what we see in real life. If this was a perspective view, I could just swing us around, but this is an orthographic view. Once I swung us around, the perspective would make it so you couldn't see any light. But orthographic, it's not going to do that. So that looks like it's about 50%. Maybe a little bit too much. So let's scale it down a little bit more. You know, that might be even a little bit too much there as well. So what you're going to notice is that this actually takes quite a bit of fine-tuning. This is a fully rendered view, so a little bit crisper. I can zoom in on it, and it doesn't have to reload or anything. So this is maybe a little bit over, but pretty close for our purposes. So what we see here is a 12, maybe 12.5 hour daytime. If this was Earth, so if it was rotating, same as Earth. So similar to what we see here. And in reality, we also have something else to look at. The Great American Solar Eclipse taken from Huntington, Oregon, and in 2018. So you'll notice this. That's the sun. That's not a moon. That's the sun being covered by the moon. I believe that's the moon. Once it's completely covered, all that's left is this corona. It's basically just the brilliance It's not really the sun, it's just a corona. So, here's the clincher. Earth has got a diameter 4 times the size of the moon. So now we're talking about a sphere this size, for general purposes, right next to a sphere that other size. And notice what happens is that now our terminator line is way over here. And if this was Earth, then it would be, a 9-hour day. Every day. It would never be more than 9 hours. And if you were up here, then you might only have, minutes. You might only have minutes if you were right up there. So, right here, in its very path, you'd have a 9-hour day. But the further you got here or up here, it would be less and less. So that's the deal, is the sun either needs to be 4 times larger in order to match this same scale, or it needs to be 4 times closer. That's number 1.
Alright, so 7/13, February 28th, 2020. Alright, so this is daytime. It's February. Equinox should be a month away. Almost. 3 weeks. But it's equinox right now. I'm at 44 north. And as you can see, just behind this factory, we've got the sun. And yeah, this is daytime. It is the 10th of March. So, about 2 weeks before the equinox. Oh, did I show you the time? 7:56. 7:56 a.m. So, equinox is here in 2 weeks. And equinox should mean that there's 12 hours of light in the northern and southern hemisphere. But what I'm going to show you tonight is that there's already 12 hours of daylight. So I'll show you a model so that you can see that since if there's only one light source, then the terminator line is solid, just like what we see on the moon. See if we can get a focus on that. Just like how we can see the terminator line on the moon. This is a Cheshire full moon. It's a brand new term. Now you know what it is. You notice that we cannot see the terminator line. But on the bottom we can. This is a Cheshire full moon. So, why is it that the equinox comes earlier than what we're told? Well, it's because the sun is always wrapping around the north. So, the sun is somewhere like right there, and it's gonna wrap around. This is the south right there. There's the west. Back to the east. But, yeah. So tonight I'm going to show the time again and show that, yeah, Equinox is debunked. (8:04) Wednesday, March 11th. As you can see, this is daytime. I live at 44 North, so that's halfway to the North Pole from the equator. That's what it's been alleged to be, anyway. So yeah, it was a couple days since I took my last reading, but it doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter now. This is daytime. So if there's more than 12 hours of daytime now, then what is it going to be here in, what is it, 10 days? Until the equinox? What's equinox? Nothing. There is no equinox. It just doesn't mean anything. You know, it's truly confusing how dumb these people in these colleges are. Like, every single value that I've measured has just been like, how do you make that claim? It's not, you have no evidence for these claims. They have no evidence for even equinox. No evidence of anything. Anything you measure, it's so ridiculous. There's so many universities. There are so many professors that actually think that we live on a spinning ball, flying through a vacuum. By the way, what color is that? It's blue. What color is space? Not blue. I know, it's pretty complex. It takes a real genius flat earther to point out that the sky is blue. These people around you that are so sure that they live on a ball, even though nothing, not one thing adds up to that. There's water up there. That's why it's blue. They told you that was a hard question because it's not a hard question. You're familiar with water after all. And most of us have Bibles in our houses. Show you the moment that it's dark, like the Terminator line on the moon? I mean, obviously, that's not happening on Earth. So, what, should we check and see what time it is now? 8:15. And just since I waited a couple of days, I'll go ahead and film tomorrow morning. And I'll just get it before 8:15. That's all I gotta do. Alright. March 12th, 7:45 a.m. And blue. You got the sun rising over there. Of course, it doesn't rise, it just comes close. Got a Doug over there. That's a good doggy. Got the moon over this way. This is southwest. And obviously it reveals the location of the sun. This is a couple of days past full moon. You can see that Terminator line. And then on this side, you can't see the Terminator line. It's also why you're not usually seeing craters on one side. You don't see the shadows on one side, but then on the other side, you'll see them. It's because that's the Terminator line. which you can see that the light is on the left and the right. Well, it's close to us. It's not necessarily left, but it's mostly left. And it's been like that all night. Looks like there's a neighborhood dog. Came to see what was going on. The little one's the neighborhood dog. They're new friends. So it's good that they can get along. Stay out of the road, Siren. Don't want him going in the road, you know. That little doggy, he came under our fence the other day. He came and hang out with Dr. Bear. That's Dr. Bear right there. You gotta stay out of the road. Good doggies. Good dogs. Yeah, good dogs. Alright, so we're at 7:45, March 12th. 9 days before. That smart doggy crossed the road good. I don't know if it showed up. Crossed the road right behind that truck. I don't trust my dogs to do that. They're not smart like that, but they are geniuses. But just compared to the people, you know. I mean, this one can't even turn left. Still, he's a genius. Compared to the people. You know, it's all relative. So, yeah, when do you want to consider it daytime? Guys, how dumb is this story that they told us? How dumb is it? They're like, you live on a ball. There's no reason to think that. Then they're like, yeah, sure, there's equinoxes. It means this. How does that work on your flat earth? 44 North is at least something that I can tell you, and you can compare it to yours. So it may be arbitrary, but it is fixed anyway. So it's a fixed frame of reference that we can talk about and think about. But where I'm at, though, according to the numbers, is that I'm halfway between the equator and the North Pole. So I'm significantly up the ball, is a way of thinking of it. So if there's more than 12 hours of light here before equinox, then that means that there has to be less on the ball. Because remember, guys, it's important to remember that at the end of the day, all we're talking about is the same shape, allegedly, right, as this. So whatever happens on the one we're on has to match what we can see with our eyes. So how many is this? I mean, there are so many debunks on my channel. It basically could not get any simpler. There's just nothing legitimate about the numbers that they give us. Nothing at all. I've done so many of these. Just complete debunks. It's just thousands of people that think that they're astronomers. They think that they're like professionals because they sat in a class and heard story time. It's half the fields, though, I guess, right? They went to story time for a while and then they discussed story time. They wrote some papers. And then they each checked each other's papers. to see if they're consistent with the same stories that they heard. So ridiculous. And it worked. This is the Death Star, you realize this? Because it's the one thing that, like, really, no matter how dumb you are, it doesn't work. No matter how dumb you are. It's just pretty impressive. That's saying something. That is. Because we're at the epic type of heights on the stupidity factoring. Well, I don't know. How many more of these do you need? I'm just accumulating some things for my book jacket because I got a whole bunch. You know, I'm the guy that debunked the heliocentric model, period. The model. This channel is basically a compilation of things for my book jacket for the next one, which I haven't completed yet. I have a hard time with my hands. I would have got it done a long time ago, but I have a hard time typing. I can't type really anymore. Barely move around, really. Let's see, I'm the guy that debunked the moon phases in general. I'm the guy that described every moon phase. I'm the guy that mapped out the eclipses with 3D modeling. I'm the guy that pointed out that the Celestia app does not, has this moon phase problem where it doesn't match what we actually see. Since we see moon phases on the left and the right, and not the top and the bottom, just like on this moon here. Just left and right. It's always like this, left and right. It's never on the top and the bottom. You know, that's because the sun's lateral from the moon. It's obvious. So I'm the one that pointed that out. Let's see, Celestia, and what was the other one I did? Was hey, I didn't do enough on, what was that other one? I'll show you the links. Peruse them. Hopefully you can see that. It's showing that the sun is 7580 degrees, whereas 90 degrees would be east. So I'm at 44 north, Boise, and the sun is north of east when it rises. Oh, I didn't show the date yet.
You can also show the date, hopefully that's focusing.
8:55, and it's March 15th, 16th. March 16th, 8:55 a.m. So tonight I should do a sunset. It's so far off though that like measuring it at all is kind of like, the more measuring you do, the more you realize that nobody else has measured anything. They don't plan to either. That's why I'm voting for Commander Bear. This is Commander Bear. He's a PhD. Pretty handsome doggy. Doctor Bear. Hi, Dr. Bear. He's better at being a doctor than I am at being a cameraman. He is a doctor. He's a smoochotherapist. He relies on electro-smooch and other smooch therapies. He tends to wick. Ever since the 16th Amendment, he's been wicking. 16th Amendment is where dogs get the right to wick sometimes. Mr. Bear invokes his 16th Amendment constantly. He's the one that lobbied for it. He lobbied for the 16th Amendment. And Siren, she, she's pro 16th Amendment, but she didn't lobby really as much. She doesn't really love licking as much as old Commander Bear. That's some good focus, huh? Don't worry, it's only like a $700 freaking dollar camera. See Bear, he looks like a, well, he's a doggy frog. I decided, since you guys evolved from Space Commander monkeys, these guys evolved from frogs. You can see it when they jump up on the bed. It's pretty obvious that they're frogs. Alright, we can just barely see the sun. It is the same day, March 16th. And it is 7:48. It's at about 2:55. 2:55, I would say. Probably right about there. So, hey, Siren! Don't chase the kitty. What are you doing? Don't chase the kitty. Leave the kitty alone. Look at this poor kitty. Getting chased around. Okay, sorry. So I'm back. So we're still south of west. Why is that? I don't know. It's like kind of confusing because this morning it was higher in the sky when I measured it, and it was north of east when it rose. So I don't know exactly what that signifies. But either way, if you add it together, what you don't end up with is an even day and night. So, like I said, it's the 16th. It's not even equinox yet. So for it to be further this side of east-west is well, I mean, it's not compatible with the globe model, that's for sure. I don't exactly know what it means having that sun set somewhat south of west, but if you have any ideas, go ahead and put it in the comments below. That direction is like the coast, west coast of the United States, so that's water. I'd actually kind of expect it to be visible for longer since the altitude is sea level out there, whereas to the east the altitude just rises. Till after Denver or something. Well, comment below. Either way, Equinox Debunked.